PUBG Continental Series Grand Finals. Before the final battle begins, let us walk you through the tournament system. 16 teams, 9 from regional finals and 7 invited ones, will compete for 3 weeks. Each week they will play 12 matches, competing for the weekly prize pool of $70,000. By the end of 3 weeks, the team that earned the most money becomes the champion. In a match, the team that gets the chicken dinner takes first place. The other places are allocated according to the number of kills. During the tournament, the crowdfunding campaign will be held. 30% of the net sales of PCS4 items will be distributed among the teams across all 4 global regions. That's it. Join our stream and watch the clash of the PUBG Titans in PUBG Continental Series Finals.
Hello PUBG esports fans. PUBG Continental Series 4 is fast approaching, pitting 64 teams from 4 regions against each other in typical heart-pounding PUBG fashion. That means it's time once again for you, the fans, to get ready for another Pick'em Challenge, so that you can start earning esports points once the tournament starts on June 10th. PCS4 esports items go up for sale on June 2nd, the same day the Pick'em Challenge begins. These items are available for purchase for 3 weeks, and serve as a key way to earn the voting coupons you'll need to pick up even more cool rewards. You can grab up to 14 voting coupons from buying PCS4 items, so pick up as many as you like for even more votes. A free voting coupon can also be obtained by watching PCS4 live streams, which we'll get into later. Every one of these purchases supports the PCS4 teams, with 30% of net sales going right back to the teams through equal distribution and via the prize pool. You get cool stuff, support your favorite teams, and get the chance to earn even more cool stuff. It's a win-win-win situation. To earn the great new rewards in the esports shop, you'll need to play one of the Pick'em Challenge games. Back once again is our Pick the Winner game. Pick the Winner lets you predict overall winners for each participating region. Each voting coupon spent gives you 1 pick, and you can only vote for each team once, so choose wisely. If your chosen team is declared the winner of their region, you'll receive 100,000 EP to spend in the esports shop. With 4 different regions, there's 400,000 EP up for grabs in this game, so plan out your picks and rake in the rewards. Our second game is Team Face-Off. In Team Face-Off, you can earn EP without needing a coupon, simply by picking the winner between 2 rival teams. Like before, EP prizes will be weighted depending on how many votes a team has gotten, so playing it safe for a smaller prize or risking your vote for a higher payout are both valid options. The third game of this tournament is the Chicken Challenge. To play, simply tune into the games as they're being played live on the official PUBG Twitch channels and vote for which team you think will win the chicken dinner. You have until the 11-minute mark to cast your vote, but choosing correctly will earn you a small EP prize. You can play the Chicken Challenge every single game of the tournament, so tune in and win. The last way to earn EP is by watching each broadcast for a special code that will pop up randomly during the games. Enter it fast enough and pick up some free EP for your account. You can get up to 50,000 free EP using these 2 methods, so cast your votes and keep an eye open for codes. You can also get a free voting coupon through a broadcast code. Right after the last match of the week finishes, a code will pop up on screen. Enter it fast enough and you'll earn a free voting coupon to use in the Pick'em Challenge. Remember, at any time during the tournament, you can check out real-time standings, information on participating teams, and player stats in the esports tab in-game. So get acquainted with the teams and place your votes with confidence. Voting closes on June 24th, an hour before the final match begins, so don't forget to cast your vote in time. Now let's talk rewards for all that EP you just won. The esports shop is open for business from June 29th until July 14th. You can view and plan out your purchases beforehand, but be sure to spend your EP during this window, as any excess EP will be lost after the store closes on the 14th. PCS4 is back, and our roster of PUBG pros are ready to put on one hell of a show. So log in, study up, place your votes, and strap in for the exciting PUBG esports mayhem. PUBG esports, PCS4, and the Pick'em Challenge. Get in on the action today.
If the UK would have a PUBG map, that would be Erangel, the forests, the landscape.
The Netherlands? I guess also Erangel.
My name is Luke, people call me T-Bone. I grew up in Essex, in a town called Fundersley.
I am Jord, known as Ibiza. I come from a little city in the Netherlands called Hendrikiel Ambacht. I lived in Berlin for 1 year, but returned home to Arnhem.
I grew up seeing my dad playing classic games like Command and Conquer and some others. From there, I played non-stop all kinds of different games.
I always liked playing games, but I started taking them seriously at a later age.
At first, I didn't want to play PUBG, but there was a friend called Fausto that bugged me nearly every single day. Come play, he said.
I didn't enjoy school very much, and I had no idea what I wanted to do after, so I started playing.
And I finally gave in. I started playing PUBG every day. I was totally hooked.
They're doing very, very well.
Oh, he's done it again. We saw it last week.
Right after that, Team Liquid invited me to play for them.
And after playing for a few teams, I ended up playing for Heroic. If you're with your friends, it can be so much fun. You can do all sorts of silly things and have a good laugh.
Our team is pretty international. I speak English 24/7. Each team member is from a different country. Denmark, Finland, Norway, and the US.
All those places are great in esports. I have a personal goal to help make the UK good at esports again.
Dutch people are very direct. We care a lot about communication.
UK people like to banter, but when the banter goes too far, toxicity. This ruins people's teams. It's something I really try to avoid. I think that a good environment based on respect is always best.
It is important to have a good routine. I like to have breakfast every morning, go to the gym, and try to have 8 hours of sleep.
Drink a cup of tea. If I drink tea, I'm okay.
Treating your teammates with respect is also very important. To be a good team environment is essential. Focus on the moment. Esport is constantly changing, so I try not to think about the future too much right now. I'm having a great time playing PUBG with my friends.
Ever since I started in this game, I wanted to be in this big international event.
It's time for us to win something big. We are working hard to win the upcoming PCS or ESL tournaments.
Tea time.
Smoke bomb.
Liquid seals the deal.
Like I see it, but you know, this is brutality. This is the best there is, and already you're going to see Na'Vi showing up. Alia and Melman waiting patiently up at the top. RTG gone.
Yeah, no, again, same kind of principle. There's really nowhere to go, and they're just going to get mullered.
Comes face to right. They are descending towards red line, but look at this heroic vision. 8 stands for the bother. He's going to have to speed up the process here, but he's going to be on the other side of things. The swing comes back out. FaZe trying to desperately close that gap. They can't do it. You can see the desperation as they made the play, but now's be the time to try and third party this event. Oh, what? From the grave!
Every single piece of utility. Don't expose yourself. Just keep using all your utility there. Na'Vi clearly don't want anything to do with it whatsoever. Dead. Onto wall. Transfers onto the second as well. On the pull-up, there is a reply. Physics onto Salak in the distance. Also be aware of that. Smokes will go down and the resist will try to come through onto Dead, but it's instantly denied. Nades there. Zoom bleeding out the wayside. Instinct doing whatever he can.
Oh no, that's such a headshot. Nail up so sharp. He's not gonna let that slip. Do they keep going? They pull up beside him.
Oi, mãe, e aí, ligou lá pra Torrino?
Nail up. No.
Hoje não abriu, não.
Ah, tá. Então tudo bem.
That's a little bit overzealous, but you know what it works. Full space sends it in the way we go around the back of the car.
Tchau.
He knows he's in all kinds of
Só
trouble.
isso.
Tá bom. Tchau.
Tchau.
Positioning either. Have to try and maintain where they are. FaZe getting up the hill. Na'Vi gonna be the ones to challenge next, and they actually connect. Quizzy's gonna get Gustav, and Rez is impossible here. Not in these rotate. Oh no, Fast Face went back for him. So this is the battle purely between the teams you saw on the screen. There's DA trying to work forward. Rip9 still going to do some work as well as Young on one side, Uber on the other. He's still doing work. That's another Rip9!
To lay him to rest. Na'Vi have lost another one. Example still doing whatever he can to keep them in the game. This is brutal. This team has been racked left, right, and center so far, but the nade.
But this has got to be heroics all day long, Rich.
It's looking good. It's looking prime. Almost hits him with the pan, but it doesn't matter whatsoever. You can see it in the boys' faces. Off the back of it, they should be an easy spot, though. I'm waiting for some kind of counter off of this, and there it is.
The Molly ready. Posts it. Dead. Delivers. Example gets shredded. He needs a bit more, though. Quizzy's just below him, and Quizzy is low. Very low HP. A long ball of a nade comes down, and it goes through. Poke him all the way.
You can see in the lower feed. And that's a lot of bullets that's coming the way. If they can
Molly!
get another one over there. Oh my god, they're burning. Oh, that's sick.
Who's going to pick up? No, Fogarty gets him. It's still game on. 3v2. They are fighting to get themselves in first place here. Laz has been a beast, though. Can't quite find Pokemon. And Pokemon is an animal. And look at this. It pushed down Lazza. And they've done it! It is a bit odd, isn't it? And wait. Customer's got... We've got a Tommy gun fight. Rich, what is it? Kixu just straight up is like, nah, I'll be fine. The switch around, this is messy, this is nasty stuff. No one comes out cleanly.
Good, if it's that way. Uber, transfer, not a problem.
BBL have the entirety of the South to themselves for now. And you can clearly see they are being proactive. Na'Vi need to make their move, and it's going to be happening right now. Smash is still going. He's having a tear. And VP turn up in style. Going to take down Example and Alia. The nades come in so perfectly. Feeling all alone. And Merv wants to put him down, and he does. BBL striding through the map now. They're even leaving Smash back to pay attention. Uga wants to be the thorn in the side for VP. This nade could be big. He's got landed, though. Molly's going right back in Uber. He does get Batulin's down. And Farmatralius is focusing in as well. This is all paying attention. Uber! No way.
It's made it a little bit easier, I suppose, but look at all the nades. He's down. He's dead. BBL.
Your sending at this point is Sanity Regimes. Let's see. He's got something up the sleeve. Marlon Uber on the other side. That's some two heavy hitters, but James is up for the first. Gets tagged up instantly. Big damage back from Uber, who's looking for a new angle to play on. Keeping around the side. Still here, though. This is Uber at the disadvantage. He's got support now coming up, but Uber's isolated Ivy. Good work there. Clip, though, by his side. Look at this work. Pixel's now down. Themselves fall into safety a little too much here. Nade's going to be coming down already. It's so good. Oh, it gets caught on the tree. That is so fortunate. The next one got both. Where are the Finns in this one? Diggory waiting quietly. He finds one. He gets tagged up. He's trying to get the push, trying to get the kills, trying to build up any sort of position while he can. 4 HP is not enough. Skate's got the win.
Welcome to the PCS4 Europe Grand Finals. I'm here with HiPuck and Toby. Toby, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. I am super excited to get the final week of PCS4 going.
And you, HiPuck?
Yeah, good to be here once again with you guys. There's been a couple of exciting finales in the other regions, so I'm excited to get news underway.
Yeah, big congratulations to Buriam and Sonics, obviously, for winning their regions. And we actually have our first guaranteed team to be at PGC 2021. It's Buriam that actually won a spot there from the APAC region, so that's extremely exciting. But we're here in Europe. We're here to close out who's going to be our big winners. Obviously, last week was a bit hectic. We had some teams that finally redeemed themselves, got a win, but we also had After All Toby that managed to get 3 wins.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they played phenomenal PUBG. Every single end game they were presented with, they turned into chicken dinners, and that's why they finished their last week on the top of the leaderboard. And yeah, I mean, you kind of said it. Their teams, they were redeeming themselves last week, and I think that was really the big breaking point of week 1. Virtus Pro seemingly one of few teams who really had the book dialed in terms of the way to play. Week 2, more teams kind of jumped to the bat there. And now week 3, how many more teams will be able to contest for the wins?
Yeah, it definitely felt like in week 1 for me it was okay, VP has everything, like they already calculate everything, but then actually coming back, they won 1 game, they still dominated quite hard, but only managed to win one game here, so they obviously still on top here, HiPuck, but there are still a lot of teams that can catch them and take the win away from them.
Yeah, I think if we characterize kind of those 2 performances individually, VP were kind of just like, they were very dominant, right, in week 1, whereas actually we saw an example last week with After All.
Right.
And it comes back to a horrible cliche, which I've used many, many times, but there's a good old thing in PUBG, you got to win the games you set up to do so, right?
Right.
And I think that's the perfect example of After All last week, right? Much lower kill count, it's 45 kills versus VP's 94 in week 1.
Right.
But I got to say, the wins were a 9-kill win, a 12-kill win, an 8-kill win. They were really converting on decent mid to end game positioning, whereas we saw a lot of other teams. We kept using the phrase overzealous last week,
right?
And I think that's probably quite symptomatic of some of the other failures we saw elsewhere. The other thing, a big highlight for me was actually Heroic finding some success, right?
Right.
How brutal, how heartbreaking was it to watch them in week 1 not be rewarded for playing so insanely well, but a minor adjustment, I'll say, last week had them get 2 wins on the board, which was really, really refreshing to see.
It was actually fantastic to see, and also looking at it, they could maybe have won 1 or 2 more. We were talking about those 2 second places where they were, overzealous. That was probably the best way to describe them. But while we took a look at the other leaderboard, 28,000 for VP right now. It means that if any of the teams in the top kind of 8-ish, if they win and they don't get any prize money from this week, that means that they will not win this tournament. They have to stay consistent. They have to get a win on the board to stay in there, and they have to continue to frag out as they have been doing so far in the last 2 weeks, Toby.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be all eyes on VP, or at least to some extent, because regardless of whether you got winning, you need to have VP down the leaderboard. So will be fun to see how much teams will maybe commit to the end game to make sure VP don't get a win, so that they can do something to try and kind of claim back some money here in the final week of the tournament.
Yeah, that's actually a scary prospect. I like to elaborate a bit on that, because usually you try to third party and you try to always be the last team coming into this HyperPUBG. But do you think that VP will have, like an extra kind of aim on their back going into this, or
yeah, I guess there's definitely a possibility of that, right? I mean, VP in itself, I credited in week 1 their ability to kind of get game 1 as a win on the board, and then kind of, I don't want to say coast, but be able to play a very different style of game. And obviously Batunas was alluding to that in his interview, where it's much easier to just kill teams trying to survive, right? Last week we actually saw them struggle a little more after getting game 1 on the board as a win, right? For the rest of the week, it was I'll be honest, bouncing back and forth between poor performances, right? So that's definitely going to be a factor here, especially if there's a couple of other teams that put up wins early. In terms of the contesters overall for the leaderboard, that could potentially change the dynamic completely for VP.
Yeah, if they don't start with getting a win here in one of the first few games, it would be kind of different for them, because they were not chasing before. They could be chasing now going into this year, too. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, I mean, if the statistics are anything to go by, they won the first game of week 1. They won the first game of week 2. So I mean, might as well call it now. VP's gonna win the first game of week 3. Now, of course, that's by no means guaranteed. But I'm looking forward to see what Batulans and the gang will be bringing to this one. I think they might have been a little surprised by how quickly other teams were able to kind of transform their playstyles. Because if we just go over individual player stats, T-Bone was the one sitting at the top of the leaderboard coming into after week 2, and he was over 1,000 damage behind Lou's performance in week 1. So clear to see that in week 1 it was all the VP show. Even though Heroic did get a lot of kills, VP were all over the place and they were just playing dominant. Whereas in week 2, Heroic quickly caught up to them, and as you said, VP weren't anywhere near what they were in the first week. So will they be bringing back that aggression to try and force teams away, or will they be playing even slower? That's for us to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. And also the kind of the playstyle that they've been doing here at HyperPUBG has been, they've been super aggressive, and I kind of feel like that's going to continue.
Yeah, it's very fast and loose, right? And it's getting themselves into a position where I think they can punish these other teams or capitalize on teams kind of put themselves in a corner, so to say. Their backs against the wall. That's when VP clean up very comfortably.
Yeah, let's see if they're going to be able to bring home game number 1 here. And our guides for game number 1 and the last week for PCS4 Europe is going to be Pantheon Sims. Have a good one, guys.
You know what? I'm sure we will, Martin. This is going to be a phenomenal game, and I think the desk highlighted it perfectly. VP come out of the gates, and they normally look absolutely mental in game 1. I think we've all seen it, and you can't really deny it. So my eyes go straight towards them. Is this going to be another, welcome to the lobby, boys? But Rich, they're not alone anymore. We saw Heroic, forever the bridesmaids, finally becoming the bride, right? They finally got across the line. Who's got it this time?
They did, and they started to really pick things up and really rank things up the further we went throughout this tournament. But the problem is that the money was already done. For VP, you could question it, is the job already done? The desk highlighted it absolutely spot on, and it's something that we have to monitor as commentators going throughout this. This weekend, VP has to earn 0 money in order to fail off that top spot. The next people behind them, after all, 20 grand, in with a shot. Heroic, in with a shot. Na'Vi, Redline. There's a few teams here that are still well and truly within a shot, but you're essentially looking for VP to earn zilch. And everyone's going to have their eyes on the prize. Everyone's going to be painting a target on their back. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting one. It's got a few little twists and turns that we can discuss as we go further throughout this competition. But certainly with Heroic really stacking it up last week and getting up there within the top 3, it's a good start. You know, it's a good bit of retrieval off of it.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not, Lauren, that 8 grand as the extension above everybody else is enough of a buffer and enough of a cushion to take a few blows here and there, but still be able to come out on top once it's all said and done.
Well, we can only find out when the game wraps and the days are done, but for now we look to see if there's any indicators of this. There's no hot dropping yet. I'm not seeing any crazed moves, anything, you know, with Theory Crafted, you can now start maybe targeting teams a little more to try and hinder that progress, because the win is the big chunk of all of this. So if you remove their viability from that, there is a potential. However, we haven't really seen too much of it. We've not really seen that come through. It's not been, there has been occasions where we said, you know, the after ult scenario, for example, we were discussing them, and lo and behold, they went on to actually win that game, and it was like oh, imagine if someone had, you know, tried to maybe target them rather than letting them go. But that's neither here nor there. We are into this, and this is VP. Now, Batulin's, I have to say, I love the personality. Make sure you head onto that Twitter of his. Have a look to what he's saying. The man is very much, you know, we've been given a challenge of adapting to this format. Get on with it. Get your head down. Let's get to work. No more excuses, you know, adapt or die, right? And they came out and proved that they have adapted, but I think Toby was right on the desk there when he said maybe they're going to be caught up with how quickly the likes of Heroic, some of these other teams are starting to just get that form under their belt, get that rhythm going in this format. It's different, we know that. It may not suit all, we also know that, but at the end of the day, money's on the line. There's only really going to be one winner out of this, so for them, I'm really interested to see how the likes of maybe Na'Vi, do they find a bit of form in this? Ents, could they be the dark horse? Who knows? Plenty of teams could find that form, and it's a matter of when, I feel. And God, example, he's had a tear throughout this tournament.
Yeah, they've really begun to backbuild of Na'Vi, and it's kind of scary to see them come off the back lines a little bit. They do appear sometimes rather slow to start, but once they get going, it becomes very, very scary, and the individual prowess of these players starts to really shine. We've seen a 1 versus 4. We've seen multiple 1v2 clutches, 1 versus 3s, and even towards the, I think it was the very the final game that we saw week number 1, they managed to clutch up, grab themselves some money, put them in a position potentially to win this competition. Week number 2, again, advancing forward, the individual performances that we saw just absolutely outshone week number 1, and it's like, okay, well now we've got a very scary Na'Vi, but no wins really came through, and it's wins that are equaling the money. It's wins that are equaling the points, and the kills were absolutely there for them, but still, it was a rough time. If Na'Vi has a very, very good week number 3, this could be them back on top.
Oh, Rich, you said rough time. If you guys at home are having a rough time, let's cheer you up. Let's get a little promo code on the screen. Let's get that going for you now. P9FL YVTRY6R2. Grab it, pop it in the game, and get yourself an in-game reward, hopefully. Get it while it's hot, is all I'm going to say. At this point, we are seeing most of the teams shuffling towards the northwest. It's kind of headed up towards El Pozo way, so the circle's kind of, you know, shuffling the teams that maybe are more Los Leones, Chumacera, that way. They're all being filtered up. Someone like Ents will have a lovely entryway to the circle. They'll be sitting very, very far out. Slowly working in from the most extreme side. VP, a name obviously we do want to talk about and keep a track of, working their way in. Maybe get themselves through. Maybe a little bit of scouting here. They're getting into very busy territory. It's pretty good in position to maybe have a little look across, see if they can spot anyone out in the distance. Maybe RTG. We've seen teams send for that compound, share it to an extent. We've also seen an example. I think that's the compound saying, I don't share. But again, it may have been that one, I'm not 100% sure, but we have seen some mad plays out of this position alone. Yeah, and VP will send for this. It's a high value area, a big priority for it. Now, I don't know how aware they are of the opponents, but they definitely know someone's nearby, but Batunas does not care. He has accuracy, and he is just pushing the hell out of this. All players in, there is no holding back. They've seen a target that's worth taking. They put their bodies on the line for the pre-fire in the corner. Look how does him! BNR, not a hope in hell.
Yeah, that's kind of scary to be able to pressure that corner like that and overpeak it. He should have had the height advantage, even to the point where he could lean into it and just not be seen whatsoever. Now they need to be careful not to get caught off guard, not to overstay their welcome. Perfectix has gone down. Dubai will try and ruin the day with the molly, and I would assume one burns away. He knows he's got nothing else left to do, and The worry, okay, that's a third party from Exhalation in the distance. That's now become good. He's baited it. He attempted to bait the med to drag them in. Losing one player, it's never going to be great. But the position that they're in when we look in the bigger picture, it's absolutely spot on.
I mean, we have to discuss, right? Batulins, I will always say, I think is one of the maybe newer wave great IGLs. If you're going into that compound, right, you know there's a chance if you're breaching that, if you're crashing into it this early, and you know it's a high value area, and you may have scouted a vehicle or two, there's a chance you're going to lose a player. So he's done it at the calculated risk of they feel as though this position has value late game, even at the expense of maybe one player. So well played to them to take that. That's been grabbed. That's in the pocket. Heroic, another team we'd love to talk about, but hey, Redline are no slouches. Nail-Up has been a name I just have to keep my eyes on. Big man T-Bone, hopefully he's had his cup of tea, ready to go. Brings him the power. Wonder what tea he drinks though. Well, it's a question for another day. For now, Heroic are on the move, gonna maybe shuffle down the hill themselves, find a little bit of cover off the backside of the hill, use the terrain to maybe fall away from this and readjust.
It's always fun when you watch these types of rotations where time and time again we see Heroic, we see Redline going toe-to-toe, and it just becomes synonymous how teams have certain entry points they like to go from, certain rotation routes they will always take continuously. Again, there's a few times, especially when we go further down this competition, if any teams have read those and understand, okay, we know where they like to come from, we know that where they like to sit back, do we start to use those as choke points? For a competition like this, when the money's already ramped up in the back, there are opportunities to try and knock out enemies by denying them, you know, further advancement in the competition.
Yeah.
An interesting point is, I'd say, still holding back to Trailer Park. FaZe are very aware that we have seen some of these western shifts all the way up towards Alcantara. Yeah, just chilling on his own, and I suppose that is really to hold the line, hold that corner, maybe even give them a window of opportunity to sneak into the Corbett area. There's possibilities and there's opportunities.
Good for rotation.
Absolutely. Center of this map, you have this hillside, you have this hook from the craters that runs around, you have this inaccessible terrain, so we know it is eventually going to flow one way, but dead center, you could still get La Corbett area, don't get me wrong. But everyone at the moment just kind of sits back, gives themselves a decent position to work off the back of the teams that are probably in the best places at the moment. Go on.
I'm just looking at 5. I was wondering if they're going to stick in this split. There was some towards the kind of east and west of the crater fields. It looks like they're joining up, though. I was curious to see what they're going to hold, because it's a nice split for territory, but it's quite risky. Because they're like quite, you know, key areas that teams will, again, send for. I wonder if they maybe go onto the hillside. You see, who was it? Was it Na'Vi who used to play this area?
When it was further up north, Na'Vi, a few teams to be fair have used it before, just using it as a place to bank off the work off the back of. We've seen it a few times where teams will sometimes use it from a scouting point to look on the ridge lines of El Pozo, for example. It is an access point as opposed to La Corbett area if it does go up that way. So I can understand why they want to keep control of it. But yeah, now I've just made note of what you were noticing. Rudy's actually disconnected from the rest of the team. He does have Naz with him. Okay, please excuse me on that one. So there are in a 2-2. They're taking either side of it. We'll see with the circle update if it actually does pay off. If it goes towards the north, they've got a good amount of land grab to come into it. It does not. It falls down towards the south. Na'Vi, Liquid, BBL, take the pick of the bunch.
I have to look at VP. I wonder if they stick, because they made a play for that compound. At the potential risk of losing players, it's still in, but it would need a shift. And we've seen it shift around here before. But again, there's so much of that southern band, right? Like, looking where Na'Vi is, that hillside is notorious now for having endings on it. We've always seen that now kind of starting to slowly come through. I'm really interested to see where do teams go for? Liquid's got a good early start in this, so where do they adjust to? Okay, they're going to come down to the other two split. Right, so they're joining Jeems over here. You have the edge of El Pozo. That could house teams if you're desperate. It's not ideal. BBL, again, these boys do seem to get some good slices of the pie. You know, they do tend to get some really nice positions every now and then. FaZe going to go, probably FaZe Compound. God, that's in. My mind just clicked. That's, hey, if you want a classic game, you could have FaZe in their compound, but do they fancy it?
It's quite a cruel circle in the fact that it's a bit of a coin toss here. Where either
it is.
You would anticipate west or east, right? You kind of split because you have that hook that runs off the back of El Pozo, straight down the middle. Alia is still up there, and he's using that as a scouting point, especially if Na'Vi has to rotate all the way to the west. It gives them information, most importantly. BBL and Liquid, they'll be the gatekeepers to hell. They'll watch that main road, and again, they're both good positions, but they also may have to move. It will be late game, depending on where these circles go, but we are anticipating now that it comes further away from the north, and which way we do not know just yet, but it's going to be fun, as you mentioned before, to VP fighting it out, keeping that compound in control, keep what you kill, so to speak. We have seen them fight for that area before, and it has worked out for them. No, a long time ago, but it's still stuck in my mind. It's always there. It's a good film. It's always been in my mind for quite some time. San Martin and Power Grid, all the way further to the east, is an interesting one. It's quite barren at the moment. The main head of the pack is over by, well, El Pozo, just down south, somewhere west on that lines. FaZe Clan, Monte, Heroic and Redline. This is the fight that's going to be on your screen, and it will be unraveling rather soon. Heroic need to advance forward. Gustav's actually just on the crossroads as well, so even Monte will have one player. I don't want to be too early on it with Heroic, maybe saying Heroic should have gone a little bit further into this one, but, you know, they're not a team that dive center. They're not a team that completely just Hail Marys into compounds. The problem is that if Redline realize that this is Heroic, they can just hold them.
Yeah, I feel they're in a bit of a tricky spot. Speaking of, AA, Habako's just received a boatload of damage. Feeling a little rough around the edges, but has made it towards the pinnacle of the hillside. And is this the send? I mean, Redline have seemingly scouted their next spot, so the timing works well. Just as Redline leave, Heroic pull up. And again, they could go to QBE, but I feel as though Nailup's probably the better option. Head on through, get that compound in the back. Oh, lovely shots back. QBE, so ready for that. They must have known Heroic were moving in, because he was just locked and loaded for it. No second chances off that. T-Bone gonna have to be picked back up. Vazku's on the case. There shouldn't be any threats. There shouldn't be a flush. I don't think QBE's got an angle, so they should be alright. This is the one that interests me, Rich. This shift here. Right, I already see VP in the vehicles. I see everyone who was kind of sitting on this side ready to go, and it has gone. It's gone south.
Is Power Grid too far out of it for now?
I don't know.
You'd have to assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still banking on it going west here.
Did you see that on the map?
Generally, within their position's really good.
BBL tried to make a quick play towards FaZe's compound, but I think Fuzzface just got there first. BBL instantly diverted course, headed away from that, and gone up the hill. So, interesting to see this happening. Everyone on that mad land grab towards the kind of eastern side near Power Grid, but here's the spray out from DA. Vard, they're going to connect a few, but not enough to get the knock. Everyone's on the way. VP going to go on the southern swing, bring themselves around by Power Grid. If they can make it that far, Luke cannot. Vard's got him, and now a quick heal might get him back to fighting form, but VP in trouble now. They were really hoping on that northern stick, but hey, it's the way the circle goes.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate losing two players so far during this lobby. They could be the second team going out of this one. FaZe Clan have done something really clever, and they've opted to stick two positions polar, perpendicular to one another, be able to hold this road. However, from a distance does come in, IT will fall. I'm actually a big fan of this because so many times you'll see teams just fully sending and committing to that course. It's actually not him, it's SMB, so another team's helping them out inadvertently here. There's three teams pulled up on it, all the way from up high. BBL is laying waste, Ents are stuck in the thick of it. Three teams all fighting out on very, very barren landscape. And eyes on the prize from across the road, Marco, he was the one to try and stabilize this and hold them at bay. Ents, this is looking rather rough, and all of a sudden Liquid's chiming onto the action. They want to pick up some points as well.
This is mayhem over here. Everyone sent for it. Three teams, you could argue four. FaZe in the 2-2, I think they're trying to get the res up as well. I think they'll be fine on that. SMB have stabilized. Yes, the smoke's keeping them safe. BBL on the hillside team, Liquid. Keep in mind, Liquid aren't getting directly involved, but they're close enough by. Liquid are in a very good spot here, and they've had some real dog water games. I mean, they've been in the bin a fair few times, right? But they've got all four standing. Everyone's still in. Because we've seen a few, they've had internet issues, they've had to have coaches in, and it's not necessarily even their fault, some of these problems. They've been hot dropped, they've had a brutal tournament. If they come out with a big start, that's huge for Liquid. That's a way to get that confidence right back up on its peak. Now, 5 had that interesting 2-2 split. Now, looking towards the north, we do see them slowly working in. Now, Na'Vi, if they spot this, which Alia might, Ali is in a really tricksy spot. Look at him, right on top of the hillside, just take it in the landscape, take it in the view. 4 times ready to go, pretty strong at this point as well. Eyes still towards VP2. Keep that in mind. Southern Swing. They'll be coming in maybe towards the fields. They've red line. There's the spots. And it's Quizzy to get it. And the circle. Northeast slightly.
Okay. Get this slight adjustment. Power Grid's still on the back of it, so that gives DA places to be able to play front. You can have Exhalation, you can have Mutiny all up there as well. That'll be mutual destruction between those two teams once they do fold into this. FaZe still all the way up against it. The 2-2 split, it's not going to be the one that they absolutely wanted. Liquid, ready, willing, and able for teams to be able to come on the pull-up. We'll see 5 arrive and take a few frags by doing so also. Example, finish off the one of Dex in the back. AA, after all, also another team that has to cross the road here, probably looking towards Liquid's compound for any signs of damage that they can maybe pull up on. If it's in a weakened position, then maybe they go for it. Alia onto Physics, so it does slow down 5's rotation. It could also, maybe now, if he tells the rest of Na'Vi about this, then there is a potential play to be able to move on to that position and just jump on them while they're down.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we'll see. Oh, okay. There's the pull up. And yeah, they're going to kind of use this as a springboard across. I guess they're not going to fully kind of go for that, but, you know, it's kind of a gateway forward. Naz, Rudy, they've made a little bit of room for themselves here. I don't think Melman... Oh, he can now. Okay, he couldn't see the player behind, but as soon as they came in front of that little lip of that hillside, instantly spotted. Did he see Rudy then? I'm still not sure. Naz is the only one spotted out of this squad.
No, this is off the back of Alia, just telling them all what's going on. Uber coming in and stepping in. Warns Na'Vi they can't overstep the boundaries too much. Naz is confirmed by the molly. The boys run straight into a bloody nade. It's right behind him. Physics goes down. Basku out to the blue. That's rather unfortunate. It must have been shot while firing up against it, because now they have to fight up against Mutiny. Mako down. So all the top teams at the moment, Lauren, are all looking a little bit worse for wear. Bogati, the next one to fall down. Alia finally has been silenced, but really for how long? Rip9 finding AA on the doorstep. Trying to keep it clear, trying to keep it clean. Mert, Rustam Ma, that's the BBLN fight that was going down earlier on just within that ditch. It does continue. It looks like Nuki came across to try and scout it because they're outside of it. Big old nade from Diggory though to try and shut this one down. FaZe also moving in the back lines.
Yeah, FaZe lingering on that hillside. You can see them chomping at the bit. They are down to 3, but gotta do something to clear the path ahead. They've got so many teams in their way. VP holding the line, and Spyro's the one to find it. That's gonna be Nailab gone. This is gonna be Redline trying to move in through that very open field. By all rights, that is something that's gonna be very tricky at this point. T-Bone still trying to find his way up this hillside. Quick little underhand nade. The man's ready to go. Always love hearing from T-Bone. Lovely little piece at the start of the day. A nade to follow. Oh, he's done for. Beam, he's got him. That could flush as well. Next nade. Didn't actually get him, but still, he will bleed out. No matter which way you want to cut this. VP down to the final 2 that they have standing, being crashed into by Redline, moving themselves up as Desperation. And there goes VP. The trend, the curse, whichever way you want to look at it, is now broken.
Just up onto Ivers. Clearly seeing signs of life within this. Wants to try and shut it down as quickly as possible. QB Hillside should be able to get a read in IC as well. It's all about the timing though, and all about the manpower that's within that. FaZe should outgun them rather easily. Granula down, beam it back into it, but Heroic, this circle, it has shifted all the way to the east, and everyone has to kind of run this way. Liquid sitting and chilling in a very, very big and strong compound at the moment. FaZe Clan making some sort of a pressure push. Good quick check-in from Fex as well. Make sure he keeps a track of that hill lines eventually. The ridge will expose them. We got stuff going down. This could be a response from Redline. They might realize that they're actually hurt. I can see the neighboring cycle, but what an absolute response from Fex to try and deny it, and now he will lay down and just wait unless the perfect placement of the nade ends QB's life. It does a fair bit of damage, but Marco's there to end them. They should be able to get the revive on Gustav, but they still have to be quick.
Bloody hell, Fex is good, isn't he? He's proper good at this game. Now, 80's going to see Mutiny coming their way. Now, Leosh, I think Danny Mon, going to be driving by, so they're going to be called out. Now, keep in mind, Fex is pretty preoccupied trying to get that res. Good flash, great peek. 80's going to spot one. Needs to be careful. He's got further pressure, further danger. Nade comes out. He's going to push this. Good flash again. Yeah, get it done. Great work, 80. Looks for another, though. Can he find it? Yes, he can. Shut down FaZe. Send Mutiny back home. Perfect play from 8C right there. That was gorgeous work.
It's a solid denial. It absolutely is. 8C just disconnects himself from the rest of the team and anchor points it. Denies Mutiny any entry point whatsoever, but now T-Bone. Fight of his life, understanding the lay of the land that he will have members of DA directly in front of him. BB's still alive, remember, first one goes down. Bard has to be quick on this because they will all now push. 1-2, thank you. The response is there. We anticipate it to be. Exhalation, though, come in. They steal the kill. Hence, and BBL. The battle of that little hillside, it's been continuous. BBL's lines of sight that they're provided by the hillside, they've just been laying waste to every single team. Few knocks here, few knocks there. And hence, well, this could be between a rock and a hard place. One good place nade will spell disaster. Marco's there. He wants to put this one to rest. Mert follows up and Digger is down.
Okay, big picture here. It's got to be Liquid, right? But SMB have got a good spot. They have got a good spot. I don't want to discredit them. They're out in the open, right? They don't have the hard cover that Liquid has. Let's see where the circle goes, though. That could be pretty defining. I guess it's a little more SMB than it is Liquid, but again, hard cover and all these kind of dribs and drabs of teams. These three players going to be working towards SMB more than they are Liquid. That little bowl, it might be tricky to play out if they don't have a great deal of utility for Liquid, but that's a problem for later. Because right now, there's probably about 5 teams that are going to try and play the edge of this new circle, and they cannot facilitate everyone.
Molodor just decided what he wants to do for his last stand, because that is going to be a death run if I've ever seen one. He's currently standing at the top, especially after losing Fuzzface. Not necessarily early, but probably a little bit rougher than what they would have liked when everyone else was rotating. I think his job was to sit there. So his death might have actually been for the greater good, if you will. It gives the information of the teams that are trying to rotate around and move across on FaZe's position. Marco going down, Apocalypse spotting him. That makes things a little bit easier. Only a little bit easier for Ends because Squeak is hiding directly behind a car. Clip there to remove after ult. Well, I will say this. We've lost a lot of big teams. Game number 1. The ones that we wanted to watch, they're unfortunately not here in the lobby with us.
It's I don't say it's anyone's game. I'd say there's about 3 teams in this at the moment that very much have the advantage purely because 1, numbers, and 2, positioning. Now DA, I'm quietly keeping my eyes on. Their positioning isn't sending me with full confidence. So I'm thinking like SMB, Liquid, Exhalation are a quiet shout in this, but look at the state of Squeaky. Vest is in tatters, helmet red as anything. Gustav just gonna post down that molly and hope for the best. Oh, it's a bit too far. And again, there we go.
He's dead
there
now.
we are. Fex, lovely work. And again, for FaZe, good amount of kills coming in here. This is good. If you're not... I mean, the thing is, if you're not going to get the win, at least get some kills. So if you do get the dinner, you're going to get that little buffer, right? You get that boost up. You don't want that game where you get nothing. As much as, yeah, kills don't quite mean the same, they still can be that game-changing difference. They can be the tiebreaker. So for someone like FaZe, you're still fighting for the victory against the odds, sure. But those kills, if 8C, if Fex, if Gustav are on form today, obviously Fuzzface not in the lobby right now, that's going to be a huge shout. Big damage from the nade, though. Look at that. Salik, lovely work. I don't know how much they've done, but Fex is far from ideal now. He's clip 3'd up too. Bloody hell, Liquid, you had it all.
This is an important fight. Both of these teams currently situated on $10,000 each. Trade off with the nades. It's going to be FaZe, so we're down 1 man in this fight. Exhalation up to 4.
Oh, nasty molly.
Oh, no, yeah, big molly onto Fex. That knocks
So
him.
good.
Gustav's also just burning away. Now this can force the fight instantly. The nades are there. If Boom has read this one, that little trickle at the back would have been phenomenal had it been a tiny bit more to the right-hand side. I don't put anything past these two. As far as clutch control goes, I'd say is just a mastermind. Have been able to outplay people. So, Exhalation need to be careful. I like the reposition from the 2 of the teammates. Don't fully overcommit towards the side of FaZe because you have another problem directly in front of you. The big team in the lobby at the moment, Na'Vi, while they're down to 3 players and currently outside of the circle with this push and on a very, very, very rough island. Oh god, Melbourne going down makes it not much easier as well. They are the highest placing team in terms of monetary value with $14,000. If they go down, we look onwards of FaZe and Exhalation.
Who's left standing to face Liquid basically at the end of this? It's still closing in, right? Once that blue hits, SMB become the target of everyone's attention because they're the first step. Exhalation, I do want to see what they do with this. They keep catching my eye. Every now and then, they definitely jumped on my radar after we saw them, Erangel, kind of doing a lot more than I expected, and that's no discredit to them. I just, I didn't put them in the same category as some of these other teams, but they certainly can do it every now and then. So, FaZe playing the long con here. See if they can force another fight. The third party potential, always strong, and so are the nades. Good work from that. Good flash as well. Pixel has no idea what's going on. Absolutely out of it. SMB. The first challenger who made it close by is DA, and so far they've been dealt with well. But look in the distance. Jeems and Mexi have made the move to the foot of the hill, but was the timing right? SMB have seen this. They've definitely noted something's up. They've either heard Na'Vi shooting or they've been given an indicator that something's happening. Look at Apocalypse. His attention is very much drawn towards Jeems, drawn towards Mexi, and there's Jeems on this one. Now Na'Vi at the same time making the push up. Lazar, AK locked, loaded, but he's dead and gone. It doesn't matter. Beautiful shot from Quizion towards the hill, but at this point Liquid are mopping everyone up.
Yeah, this is the time to capitalize on that knock. They understand what's happened. They realize where Navi's position is. It's noded and people are just dropping left, right, and center. Meanwhile, Liquid is just back building all of this. With 4 players still standing, they will just keep putting points on the board in terms of bodies on the floor. He's outside of the blue. Does he realize? He might just be giving a go to the greater good, to be fair. Nothing else really he can do about that, so he denies it. Jeans goes down, small trade-off. A little bit of a duck, but nothing really to worry about on that side of it. DeBoom then steps in. His vision is denied. Jeans can be revived. Final buggy comes away from the compound. They know they have to pull on this one. This is going to be an interesting fight. SMB, what damage can you do to Liquid in order to try and elevate Exhalation's position within this? They have more map. They have more ground. If Exhalation are quick with this, they could just constrict around Liquid and deny them entry to this circle.
And Clip's been noted by SMB. So if you're Liquid, you're hoping that Exhalation take the fight on SMB, clear them out for you, and then maybe you have not necessarily a fair fight, but a fight. At the moment, down the bottom, oh, that nade could have been so sick, but it didn't quite find it. Vert nade comes in. What are you going to do about it? Dust goes too far. Can't quite find where it wants to be, and Salak is chomping at the bit as well. Look at him. He's dying to get over that ridge. And SMB are like, we just need to keep our damn heads down. Jeems gets noted on the outskirts here. No one's going to be creeping on that side anymore. I think, if anyone, Instinct might have been, but he's not going that way. So, as much as Liquid had to have left that compound anyway, this position they're in is really dicey. They are very much at the lower ground. They're at the foot of the hill, and they do not have a big portion to play with. But it looks like Clib is trying to find a way in. 2 players moving forward to try and trade effectively, but good counter flashes. Is that Molly going through? That could clear so much, but you can see how blind they are.
Nades are coming down this time. Headshots being done. DeBoom down. You'll see Jeems holding back as far as he can just to try and see if they peek over the ridgeline to get the deeper angle. The Molly has struck, and it forces Lazar to try and heal up. He will be able to stabilize, and so will Rip9 as well, but really, they're just holding down for dear life. But they have to always be careful, for every single time one player goes down, Exhalation gets a little bit closer. Solid nade, flashbang over, mop them up and done.
Where's
now
the
fight will continue. They have to push on. This will be quick. It has to be clean. Jeems dead, gone. Advantage well and truly with Exhalation here in terms of manpower.
Yeah, for sure. And clearing these ridges is horrific. Zoom, Instinct, Overwatch, keeping Salak and DeBoom safe. How are you going to cut that vision? I do not know. You need a nade, smoke, Molly. This is where utility becomes king. Deep smoke goes out, Clib's looking. He's trying to find that pixel that's going to peek that ridgeline, but no one's given him it yet. Using the smoke well, but not well enough. It doesn't quite plume to deny Instinct the vision. The flash keeps him away. He's 3'd up. He's happy to be the man leading the charge. The Molly in the smoke now. This is Exhalation holding the line perfectly, and there's no next layer. Rich, there's no next step. I think Exhalation might do this unless we see some of the big boys come out to play, and Mexi's doing the best he can, but it's only a trade out, and the numbers, they favor Exhalation, but Mexi doesn't care. That's a huge step up from him. He sees Zoom, and now it's just a 1v1. Taps away Zoom with a great connection. The mini looking real large in his hands. Hits the deck, looks to maybe just take a second for pace. Now the one bonus for Mexi here, Rich, he can at least maybe get a res, but does he have the time on it?
So circle pushing on. We have to advance. No, instead he's going to spray down through the smoke. He realizes
Got attacked.
his position might be slightly advantageous to him. He can try and see if the smokes do run out on the side of Zoom. He's still got 4. This will
He's
have to
pushing.
keep moving. Mexi is forced to go into this 1-versus-1 engagement.
Mexi's fighting.
He's got 2 smokes of himself. The molly's there. It'll force Zoom down. Spot him. Sprays
Oh!
it. Gets him. Liquid clutching up, going into the fight with a man down. Mexi stands strong, and Liquid get a win on the board.
Must be nice to have a player like Mexi who's going to pull that out for you. That was absolutely sick work from him. And there's that option, right? You got to look at the end there. There's so much to break down about just that end fight. But you know what? I love seeing big teams at the end because there's always that chance. These great teams, these seasoned veterans, always bring out the A game there. And Mexi did. Straight up brought out the A game. And you know what? Rather than us breaking it down, let's head it over to the desk who's going to talk you through that. Because there were so many great moments in that final fight that just really